Now, and this big update coming in. Women's reservation has now become a Gazette notification on women's reservation bill has been issued by the government of India. That is the big breaking news we have right now. This after it received the assent of the President of India, Miss Droupadi Murmu. So a Gazette notification on women's reservation bill has been issued, and that, viewers, is the big breaking news that we are getting. And my colleague and senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor joins us on the phone line for more. Abhishek, tell us more about this development. This is a very significant development, and how important is this?
Well, this is a process, completion of the process of passing of a bill which becomes a law, Rakshita, and this is what has happened. Ministry of Law and Justice issuing this Gazette of India notification after the President has given her assent, and the wording say the following Act of Parliament received the assent of the President on the 28th of September and is hereby published for general information. And so the details of the bill that are there, and which essentially means that in India now, reservation for women in Parliament and state assemblies, 33% of seats has become the law of the land. Obviously, the provisions that exist in the bill or existed in the bill, which is part of the law now, that the reservations come into force only after census and the first delimitation exercise after the census. So obviously, we are looking at it was something that was debated whether we are looking at 2029 becoming the year when we are going to have women's reservation. But then, President of India giving an assent, completing the parliamentary process of passing a bill and passage of the bill in the Parliament, both the houses, and subsequently becoming a law. The fact that President has given her assent shows that now officially India becomes a country which has 33% reservation for women in its parliament in all the state assemblies. That's how it goes.
Right, of course. So now we see that the President has given the assent to the quota. Of course, a historic, development that already we saw how it took place in the Parliament, how it was passed, by both houses of the Parliament, and now we have this Gazette notification. So how do we understand this, Abhishek? How long will it take to be, to see it being applied and, actually see it, taking place and being implemented in the country? Because there have been various kinds of talks that it could be in 2029, 2026. How do we see this as far as the implementation and it becoming a reality and being applied for is concerned?
So far as when it kicks in is something which was debated in Parliament, Rakshita, remember, and the government given proper assurances by the Law Minister himself that there is a process that obviously has to be followed in terms of the census and the delimitation commission or delimitation exercise, which is slated for 2026, with the government said that immediately after 2024 elections, hopefully they would be carrying out the census, which takes about 6 months' time. And the census leads to the delimitation exercise, which in turn leads to the reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies kicking in. So obviously, immediately after 2026 delimitation exercise, and once the seats are decided by the delimitation panel itself as to which seats would be reserved after increasing the number. Remember, there is this possibility that the next delimitation exercise would increase the number of parliamentary seats both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So, of course, the women's reservation applies only to the Lok Sabha. Subsequent to which, whichever state goes to polls next would obviously be becoming the first state where women's reservation kicks in. So it's not that we have to wait till general elections. Whichever state goes to polls after the 2026 delimitation commission and the delimitation exercise, obviously the process kicks in. So I think the opposition fear that it's going to go on till 2039 is not right, and the government has given assurances in so many words to that extent on the floor of the House by none other than the law minister.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for that information and input on that story, Abhishek. We'll, of course, now what we see is that it has become an act. A Gazette notification on women's quota has been issued by the government of India after President Murmu's assent to this historic women's reservation bill.
Motorola